Hi, I will be commenting on the Whitsun Weddings by Philip Larkin. This poem was written in the 1960s and depicts a train journey that a passenger has from Hull to London on Whitsun weekend, a weekend that was considered financially advantageous for weddings to occur, as installed by the British tax law in the 1950s. It is believed that this poem is based on an actual train journey that Larkin had in the 1960s. At the beginning of the poem, we are confronted with the narrator who embarks and sits down on the three-quarters empty train that pulls out on a sunlit Saturday. So down, all cushions hot, all sense of being in a hurry gone. We are, as the reader, confronted with a feeling of happiness, restfulness, and overall comfort. It is the beginning of the journey, as the beginning of a journey is for a child, happy and cozy. As with a child to guide himself, the narrator appeals to our senses. There are blinding windscreens and a strong smell of fish docks. But these senses are unpleasant and show a certain amount of discontent from the narrator. The second paragraph is one of description, where there is, again, heat and calm and a notion of restfulness. This restfulness is demonstrated through the line, "a slow and stopping curve southwards we kept." In this paragraph, there again is a sense of appeal that arises from the narrator's comments. There are certain positive aspects, like the nice smell of grass, but also unpleasant sights like the one of dismantled cars and nondescript towns. In this third paragraph, we are first confronted with the intrigue of the poem, that is, the weddings. The narrator, in the beginning, does not realize what is happening, but as he mentions, the sun destroys the interest of what's happening in the shade. He is now aware of the weddings, and after a small description, he goes on reading, as he says in the 6th line of the paragraph. This shows that the passenger isn't really interested with what's happening, and this proves to be the first sign of Larkin's cynical view of weddings. As the paragraph advances, we are confronted with the line that follows. We pass them, grinning and pomaded girls, in parodies of fashion. Larkin, or the passenger, notices the spectators, and with this quote, shows instant descent towards them. The girls are posing irresolutely, and through their grinning expression, appear to be somewhat stupid. The girls that are posing in parodies of fashion and are pomaded show in essence the phoniness that is the marriage. The passenger would have, in effect, never noticed the wedding unless the sun was shining on it, as it were, when he was passing by. Larkin hasn't even already commented on the wedding itself, but only on the spectators. This shows in fact a disregard that him or any passenger can have for the actual wedding. In this 4th paragraph, Larkin marks the beginning and end of an event. The spectators are now waving goodbye to something that survived it implying the marriage. It can be interpreted as the idea that marriage is in fact death and that the spectators have avoided it. They are waving goodbye to it. Further along the paragraph, we are again confronted with the idea of phoniness and fakeness. The wedding is masqueraded through the perms, the nylon gloves, and the jewelry substitutes. It is interesting to notice that Larkin hasn't commented on the groom and the bride themselves, but only on the surroundings, on the extravagant and somewhat useless surroundings of the event. In the following paragraph, the couples are now embarking the train that the passenger is on. The wedding has come to an end, and all down the line, fresh couples climbed aboard, the rest stood round. This demonstrates the continuity of life, as some move on and some don't. As they climbed aboard, the people that were looking at them are epitomizing the monotonous nature of the weddings. The children frowned at something dull. In this 6th paragraph, there is further the quote, "The woman shared the secret like a happy funeral," is interesting because of its complexity. Again, weddings are related to death with the word funeral, and the women are sharing the secret. The happy funeral is in fact the end or death of virginity. The following quote is also interesting due to its ambiguity. Some other girls are gripping their handbags tighter and staring at a religious wounding. The religious wounding represents the loss of virginity, and the women who are gripping their handbags tighter are anxious because this isn't happening to them yet, and are therefore stressed out by this idea. Another explanation for this quote could be the idea that as some women are staring at the religious wounding, they are not at ease because it isn't in fact very good for a woman to lose her virginity, and even more so for a woman to want to lose their virginity before marriage, like the spectators are when they are sharing the secrets like a happy funeral. In the second to last paragraph, the author nearly dies because of the dozen marriages that got underway. This is a strong mark of unimportance for the passenger, and it contributes to the notion of dismay for the weddings that Larkin has had all over the poem. In the end of Larkin's Whitsun weddings, we are confronted with a very important idea, the one of arrow showers. There are many possibilities for the meaning of the arrow showers, but my interpretation of this is the idea that the arrow shower symbolizes fertility and growth through the idea of rain. Rain has always been related to growth, as it is used to grow the crops. The fact that the rain is in fact a rain of arrows also talks about fertility and about possibly Cupid's arrow, which has struck and therefore recognizes the true use of weddings. The end can be understood as a careful stance of Larkin, not completely adhering to what goes on at weddings, such as the fuss that goes around it, like from the parents and the spectator girls, but nevertheless appreciates the true purpose of weddings, that is, to consume love. There is a clear journey throughout Larkin's poem, not only in the physical sense, that is the train from Hull to London, but also in the tone and in the development of the character. In terms of tone and mood in the poem, there is, at the beginning, a pleasant and relaxed atmosphere, as demonstrated through the first paragraph. There is, however, soon after, a cynical tone that is beset on the text, and an idea of mocking and of dissent from the passenger's point of view, looking at what is going on with the weddings. Larkin can also be considered to be very descriptive in this poem, looking at the different aspects of England and of the people at the weddings. Larkin is at this stage critical and cynical, as he really analyzes and evaluates the position of the spectators at the weddings. In the end, he does, however, come to an understanding and shares his point of view with the reader. In terms of structure, this poem was written in 8 rhyme stanzas in the rhyme scheme AB, AB, CD, EC, DE. There are also 10 syllables in each verse and 4 syllables on the second line of each strophe. This effect relates to the noise that a train can make when driving, with a stable, clear, and repetitive noise that is demonstrated by the syllables in each verse and the change in the rhyme scheme. Thank you very much for listening.